Linda's Pantry. So as you can see in the title, this is the bone broth that everybody was requesting in my turkey bone broth video. And I've had a lot of requests from friends outside of YouTube, and so I decided, you know, I'm just gonna go ahead and do it. I need to put some back in the pantry anyways. This is great for you to drink on your own for rebuilding joints and tendons and all the things that we really have gotten away from with modern day cooking. We don't use bone stock like our grandparents and our great-grandparents did. And we have a whole lot more joint issues. So you can get the natural collagen, the natural minerals that are in the bone marrow and in the bones themselves by doing a long cooked bone broth. And so beef bone broth takes quite a bit longer than the poultry one. I've got 2 good-sized packages that I picked up of marrow bones. Now, I pick them up if I can when they're on sale and throw them in the freezer, and I just kind of collect until I feel like I have a pot full. And then you can get in, most supermarkets will have a section where you can buy beef tongue and beef, oxtail, which is the tail. And I have to search around a little bit to find beef foot, or feet. And these are sections of not actually the hoof part, but right above that. This is full of the collagen and the chondroitin and glucosamine, and hopefully I'm pronouncing all that correctly, but that's all naturally found in the bone matter. And because I want a real rich beefy flavor, I bought a package of beef neck bones as well. And there's quite a bit of meat on here. So what we do first, and I feel like this is really important, it's not as important with the poultry bone broth, but it certainly does add flavor to it if you do it that way, is to roast these in the oven first before you start your process. And these are partially frozen, but it's okay. We're gonna have them roasting in there. I've got my oven preheating to 400 degrees, and I'm gonna roast these on this cookie sheet. I've got it lined with foil and then parchment paper. I'll go ahead and rinse my hands. And there's no need to season this or anything. 12 quart stock in the oven with, I've already put a gallon of filtered water. You don't want any chlorine or fluoride in your water. You want to keep this as pure as possible. All right, if you've got well water, perfect. All right, guys, so I roasted these bones for about an hour and 15 minutes at 400 degrees. It just starts releasing some of the fat that you're gonna skim off that broth anyways, and gets that marrow good and soft. So now what we're gonna do, like I said, I've already got water in here, and I'm probably gonna need some more. I've got another gallon sitting there. There's about a gallon. Once you have all your bones in your stock pot, you can move this away. And now I'm gonna go ahead and add some more water, because you really want them covered generously with water. And I want to be able to can 7 quarts of this, or I might do pints. I don't know, I haven't really decided. I actually try to drink a little bit of bone broth every day, just because I don't want to have any joint issues. Chardonnay, it really doesn't matter. You're not going to taste it in the end. It's helping break down the bone matter, so it can leach out all the good stuff that the bones have to offer. And I've got a cup of apple cider vinegar. I know that's quite a bit more than I use, but again, you won't taste it. It's just going to help break that bone matter down and leach out all the stuff that's good for us. Put about, just for a little added flavor, 3 or 4 or 5 little bay leaves in there. And we're gonna put this on the stove, bring it up to a boil. As soon as it comes up to a boil, we're gonna then let it go down to a simmer and let it just slow simmer. Bone broth here has cooked a full, actually over 48 hours. And so now what I'm gonna do is take my slotted spoon and get as much of the big chunks, the bones, the meat that's in there, all this, the stuff that we need to strain out. We're gonna get that done first, and then we're going to strain this.
I'm ready to strain this off, and I'm going to use the fat separator till I feel like I've gotten the majority of the fat off the top. I don't mind if there's a little bit in there, because after it cans, sometimes, you know, when you open a thing of stock, you might have a little bit of fat. You can pull that right off the top if that is adverse to you. This broth tastes delicious. I've had a couple cups of it the last couple of days here, and it's a really light broth, but yet it's got some depth to it. So the health benefits are beyond measure in my book. And I'll use this to cook pasta. You don't always just have to drink it. I'll use it to cook pasta, I'll use it to cook rice, and I've got my fat separator that I got off of Amazon. I absolutely love this. The last one I had cracked, and it didn't have this stopper. This stopper keeps any fat from going into your spout and then when you pull it out, it's ready to pour. So, and it's a nice big one, so well worth the money. It's always nice to have very good tools in your kitchen. And I've got almost a reusable cheesecloth. You can use these over again. They're double lined, very fine mesh. So there, my broth is popped up there, and I'm going to go ahead and pour this in the bowl. So we're ready to start jarring this up. And a lot of you have seen this before, but literally you've got hot, clean, sanitized jars. Now they don't have to be completely sterile. It's very hard to get anything sterile unless you're using an autoclave, which basically is what a pressure canner is. So nothing's going to live through this process. And I can stock for 25 minutes for quarts, it's 25 minutes. For pints, it's 20 minutes. And I'll can this once it comes up to pressure after it's vented for 10 minutes. And you want to fill this to the bottom little rim perfectly. And then you're going to move to the next jar. And what I like to do now, so you can see here, is I take a clean napkin, dip it in vinegar, and go around the rim of your jar. And again, this is your last chance to inspect. Even though I inspect my jars right before I wash them, and I always wash them in hot soapy water in the sink and then run them through the dishwasher. And we're gonna need a lid. Yakety yak. We're gonna need a small lid. And I'm using all pop up and down lids, the metal lids, because I've got such a big stockpile. I'd like to clear part of that cabinet. It's just finger tight is good. And your jar lifter, put it in the can. So I'm ready to start canning, and I'm going to go over a couple of things that new canners should probably know. You've got to put vinegar in this water. Most of us have hard water, and so the vinegar that I use to clean off the jars goes right in the water. And every canner is going to be different on how much water they require. So read the manufacturer's instructions on how much water you need in your canner. It's critical that you have enough. I don't even mind if I have too much, because if you run out of water in your canner and run it dry, your canner is ruined and it cannot be fixed. So, and these can be expensive. So you want to make sure, I mean, it's a lifetime purchase, and you want to make sure that you do the right thing by your equipment. So also you're going to make sure that you've got petroleum, some kind of petroleum product here on the rim of your canner, because it's a metal to metal seal. It can actually become difficult to get off. So you want to make sure that you, every 2-3 times that you can, go ahead and retreat the rim with some petroleum jelly. And then you want to inspect, well, you want to inspect what is going to vent. This little porthole right there is your vent, and that's where you put your weight as well. But you want to make sure that you can see daylight through that there's nothing clogging it. And then you also want to make sure that once a year you have your gauge checked. to make sure that it's still running true to pressure. So at this point, I've got 7 quarts in here, and I had an extra 1.5 pints that we'll use up in the next few days. You could also put that in the freezer. And you absolutely don't have to can this, you could freeze this. So there's a notch over here and an arrow here on my lid. And my clearance is pretty small, so I pull it out very carefully. Be very careful. And you're gonna line up your arrow with your notch. And there we go. And there's a little doodad over here that hooks up underneath this, it hooks up under the lip, so it's another safety measure. And opposites from each other for this canner, you're gonna go ahead and get these flywheels, or whatever they call them, I can't remember, tightened down. That's what holds your canner lid on. And I'm gonna say, once again, how much I love this thing. I can't believe I waited all these years to get one. Kind of silly. So you get all these locked down, and you don't want to do them this one, this one, this one. Again, you're going to follow the instructions according to your manufacturer. Okay, so we've got them locked down. We feel secure. We're going to go ahead and turn our burner up to high. That porthole that I showed you, as soon as that starts venting out of there, you're going to let that vent for 10 minutes. And I believe that my book says 7 is sufficient, but I let it go ahead and vent for 10 because I know I have plenty of water in there. And it's a habit for me to, when I go to switch back to my Presto canner, I know that I'll always do 10 minutes. So that's kind of my thinking. And once it vents for 10 minutes, then we're going to bring it up to 15 pounds of pressure. And that's for my area. The pressure for your canner is for your altitude. And the length of time is pretty much straight across the board, although some higher altitudes require longer periods of time as well. So again, check your ball canning book or whatever canning book that you trust. You can go online and get all kinds of information. You can also check with your local extension agency if you're not sure of your altitude, because anywhere in the United States it's going to be a minimum of 10 pounds of pressure, but because I live at 4,500 feet above sea level, I need 15 pounds. And I've got a gauge plus the weight. So once it vents for 10 minutes, I've got this weight, and I'll put it on the 15-pound mark and put that right over the porthole. And as soon as it starts rocking and it comes up to pressure, then I can start my timing and put my timer on for 25 minutes. I hope that helps. I hope it helps explain, because I do get a lot of questions and I love all of them. I don't always have time to answer everybody because life gets in the way. You gotta have your life too. So that being said, don't forget to check all the links, because I'll leave a link to this beauty. All right, guys. I'll see you in a few. So guys, the canner has come down off of pressure. This was at a full 15 pounds of pressure, and actually a couple times it got up a little bit higher. You have to find where that little sweet spot is on your stove and figure that out. Now, even though the dial says 0, make sure and double check. Take your weight and just tip it a little bit and listen to see if you hear any hissing, because if you take that off and it starts spewing steam all over the place, what's going to happen is your canner's going to come off of pressure too fast, and you're going to break jars. You're going to lose liquid inside, and it's not going to be good. And that weight is hot, so use something to protect your hands. And now we're safe to undo our. Love that sound. Gotta love it. They're warm, but they're not hot. If you touch the canner itself, it's extremely hot, so be very careful. Everything with caution. And I'm just going to, because my lid is kind of hard to get off because of the clearance factor. lid's going, playing music. One of them is playing some music. All right. Oh, look how pretty that is. So we're going to pull these jars out. And they're still going to be boiling in this, in these jars. And as they cool, they'll cause a vacuum that will suck that lid down. Oh, one of them just pinged and now. Sometimes they'll ping up and down, so I think it depends on the content. Beautiful beef stock right there to use in any of your recipes. And yes, it took some time, but the health benefits to me are worth it. And I haven't wasted anything. You know, if you've already got the stuff, go ahead and don't waste. So there you go. We've got 7 beautiful quarts of stock. I'll bring it in and take a nice picture, and I hope it inspires you to stay with me for the next video and hit subscribe, and you'll get notified as long as your settings are set for that. And then if you like this video, give me a thumbs up. Go share it on your Facebook page. Share it on your social media. Maybe you have a website that you share things that you've learned, because this is really, canning is such an easy thing to do, but it's really kind of a lost art. And so I hope that it inspires you to try to start canning, because it's fantastic. And I know what happened here. I don't have to depend on a stranger to bottle my food or put it in a can. All right, guys. And don't forget, check out all the links that I've got for you. I've got a great Amazon link where you can go look at this canner. And, you know, I'm actually going to put a link to the labels that I use for my jars. They're fantastic. They wash off really easily. They don't leave any glue residue on your jars, so you can use your jars over and over again without them being all tattered up. All right, guys, I can't wait to see